25 minutes and 10 seconds or so to cut up a full slab of new Venetian gold with a finger bit. Had we had a saw aggregate on this saw, we probably could have shaved another 10, 15, probably about 10 minutes off this. Look at that. We just cut up a full slab of granite. Now I'm going to have my homeboys grab the camera and we're going to go over some concepts real quick. Okay, check it out. We just cut this entire slab up. This is a full-size slab. If you were doing this in 3 centimeter, it would take a little bit longer than 25 minutes, probably take about 35 minutes. If you were running tropical brown, it'd probably take about 40 minutes. A saw aggregate would speed the process up a little bit. A couple things I was thinking about while this was running, you could actually do common line cutting with a finger bit. What you'd have to do is mic your finger bit before you start, and what you would have is the adjacent piece right here. Now remember, you're going to be running this through a CNC, so you're going to oversize the part about 1/8 to 3/16 anyway, it doesn't matter. All you would do is take your geometry, offset it. I can spin this piece onto this and eliminate a lot of these finger bit cuts. Another concept I want to explain to you, and I'll show this as we weed these parts, is I would have positioned the pods on this part so it would not have to move. We would simply take all the fallout off, lift this piece up, reposition the pods, reset just this piece, then we could actually hit cycle start on our CNC machine and begin machining these parts right here on the saw without even unloading that one, and we would just simply reposition this one to get it far enough away so that as you process the edge work, your tools clear the 2 parts. Another concept that I want to kind of try to grasp is this is not the fastest way to cut stone, this is not the most efficient way to cut stone, and it's probably not the most profitable way to cut stone. But as a concept, for cutting stone, if you're a small shop doing 1 job a day, this is totally viable. I was skeptical, but it's totally viable. Any CNC machine in the world can do this. What matters when you start shopping for a CNC is how easy is the machine to get into, how easy is it to load, how well is the machine put together, how well is the software written and able to execute programs like this. It only took me about 5 minutes to figure this out after I started thinking about it. So when you start looking at CNC machines and you look at capability, this is a great choice for a small startup shop. You'll be able to do perfect work with your machine. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to turn the vacuum off, and we're going to come here with a hammer, and we're going to break these parts, and we're going to pull the fallout off first. I'm going to go ahead and take the camera and film my guys doing that. So now my cool night crew is going to start weeding these parts. Now what you would do if you're going to process these parts, you'd have to pull these pods and all this debris out of the way before you get set up to run. Don't be afraid. I'm afraid. Notice how the pods in the middle help support the piece so that all of our fall off didn't fall through. Now for those of you that have CNCs, this should look pretty familiar. Now we're going to pull all the pods and actually simulate moving the pieces as if we were going to actually machine the parts. Now we can just pretend that this first part in the front has the pods correctly positioned underneath it. Now we're doing the cleanup to simulate what you'd have to go through if you were going to reposition these parts for CNC machining. We're not doing that with this job, but I want you to kind of get a feel for what it would look like if you had to do it in the real world. What you see Mikey's got right there in his hands are what we call crack pods. They're sacrificial pods. We don't ever want to crack parts up on real pods. So we have 2 pods that we use just for cracking parts up. Now they're going to lift the part up and we'll be able to see the pods. Now we want to move these pieces back, so I'm going to go hit pod grid for the new batch, for the CNC batch. And if I came over here and hit this, then went to pod grid, it would reproject the pods at which point they would start repositioning them to the new location. Now he's doing a little bit of rinsing so that we're not moving the pods onto where the slurry is. Now they're repositioning the pods to their new location on the bed. If you were trying to do this with a pin set without an overhead laser, you wouldn't be able to do this nearly as efficiently. You'd actually have to pull the part off so that you could reposition your pods using pins. The overhead laser is a great advantage for this type of stuff. So now we reposition the pods. We're going to come over and hit part geometry on the machine. And now it's going to project the part. Okay, now they're going to crack the part back down, realign it to its new location. And now you can see that we have the parts far enough apart that we could actually conduct CNC machining operations. At this point, we would simply come over, make sure everything looks right, make sure our valves are set correctly on our manifolds. We'd come over to the machine. We'd simply barcode scan the new CNC program. It would come up on your machine. You come to FANUC Basic. Unless you have one of the new Northwoods with a really sexy stone fabricator interface, which I don't have because I got an old machine. And you'd simply hit cycle start, come out of the processing box. You'd simply hit cycle start and begin to machine these parts. This works. By the way, this machine is machine number 38. This is one of the very first Northwoods. It's 3-year-old and it still runs like a tank. The new ones are built a hell of a lot better than this. It's got the new spindle, it's got some new features, better software. We love this machine, it makes us money. I hope that when you think about buying a machine in the future, you think about Northwood. I like American-made equipment, and I love my Northwoods. That's all I got to say about that. Good night, gentlemen.